Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Maya for that news um, segment. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. During the break, we did have some others. Anika DeShield says volunteerism, Bermuda Health Council. Ken Edward Simmons says agricultural exhibition in the food division, coach volleyball, Duke of Edinburgh, track and field. Pamela Wade said youth net mirrors program. So we've got a lot. But without further ado, we've got a very special guest today. We've got, you all know her. You've seen her in the audience. You've followed her page, Traveling Trotty. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to a member of the TDH community, Traveling to the Trotty. Oh, so, calm down. She's been here before. Morning.
Good morning, Jamel. Good morning, the Daily Hour family.
Happy Thursday to you. I you know what? I was just hoping I didn't push the wrong button. Just not. It happened yesterday, and I was like, don't do that because you might throw something at me through the screen. How are you?
I wouldn't do that.
You good? How are you today?
I am. It's a little chilly today, but I am blessed and truly thankful to be here to talk to the audience.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you came because one of the things, and audience, I'll share this with you. One of the things in the survey, as you can see, we're trying to respond to the survey as much as possible. What you all have shared with us is you wanted to see more of us, like yourselves. You want to see more people from the TDH community and more people, not just always politicians or business people. And that's our goal in trying to, have Simone on and Traveling Trotty, and hopefully we'll have Rosalind Famous and some others. I know we've had Karen Simmons and Michelle White on in the past. So we're grateful when you say yes and when you want to become a part of this. But we're going to be talking about Traveling Trotty today and your travels. And I just want to start by asking, a lot of people say they travel, right? Oh, I love to travel. I travel. And then when I ask where you go, oh, I love going to New York. Nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. Nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with New York or Disney World. But travel is so different today than when, in the 90s and the 80s. What inspired you to want to travel in the manner that you currently do?
I think it came from my family, mainly my grandmother and my mother, who traveled a lot. My grandmother traveled to the islands, to England, all over the world. So through her, I was able to be inspired and live through her in terms of travel. So that's kind of what spurred me to travel. When I was in college, when I was doing my master's on campus, there was actually a local travel agency there just for students that offered great discounts for travel during spring break and other holidays. And I started to pique my interest. I was like, this seems really, really interesting. And then because of the undergraduate and graduate schools where I studied, it also allowed me to interact with a lot of different individuals from different parts of the world and hearing about their experiences, how they live, their culture, providing me with the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to come visit you. So that's kind of how it all started from there.
From college. All right. Gee, I mean, when it came to spring break in college, I took the cheap route. I went to Daytona 1 year because,
I went to school in Daytona. Daytona Beach was like 15 minutes away from my school. So Black Weekend and all of that. Yes. NASCAR.
You didn't have to travel far. But speaking of like what inspired you, I mean, how do you decide where you're going to go? Because you've been to, I mean, you can share some of the places you've been. I mean, I know the World Cup, Qatar, you've been to Kenya, you've been to it's too many to name, but how do you decide, you know what, I'm going here next?
You know what? I have an app that allows me to keep track of where I've been and where I desire to go. So I just have a running list. I follow a lot of other influential travelers online. I follow a lot of tourism pages, country tourism pages. So I just have a running list and I'm very open. So when I go and I look for travel, what really helps me to determine my next location is budget. That's the first thing that people need to establish when they're determining where they want to travel, what they would like to do is your budget. So I just have a running list. If you recall, on Tuesday was Travel Tuesday. So I was actively online on Travel Tuesday looking at different deals that were available for people. So I just have a running list. So if I, for example, Iceland, I'm going to Iceland in February. I was like, okay, there's a deal. Let me grab that deal while I can. So I just have a running list so I am able and always in a position to act upon when a deal becomes available. So I'm just open. The universe I know is going to take care of me. So I am open
Mhm.
to all possibilities and adventures.
Okay, all right, Iceland. Well, let's go back a bit. This past summer, you came on the show earlier this year speaking about a Colombia trip, and I wasn't invited. You know, the fellas, we weren't invited, but I was told that the fellas would be able to get on one soon. But tell us about the group trip to Colombia. How many people was it? What did you all get to do? And what was the experience, overall experience like?
I must say, for my first group travel experience, it was absolutely phenomenal. It was beyond my expectations. The feedback from this 15 women that joined me on that journey, and thank you to them for trusting me with that. It was absolutely dynamic and fabulous. What we did on that trip, and what I tried to create for the individuals that joined us on that trip, was not just the traditional, oh, we're going on a tour. I try to encourage them and have them have an authentic Colombian experience, from the food, from the activities. And one of the big feedback that I got from that trip was that because everything was paid for in advance, it really like uplifted the women, where many of them said, if I spent $100 while I was there, that was it. So when I look at what we were able to create in Colombia, it was empowering women. What I do on my trips as well is always provide some downtime, because we as women were always busy. We're mothers, we're wives, we're partners, we're professionals. So I always create some downtime during the trip so they can explore and do what they want to do. So in Colombia, we went to Palenque, which is the first African village outside of Africa in the Americas. That
Mhm,
was absolutely phenomenal. We
mhm,
went to a local eatery. Food is such a big part of travel now, because when you travel, you want to get that full experience. You want to taste what the locals taste. And some of that meant street food. It
yeah,
does not always mean that we'll go into a fancy restaurant. It
right.
also encourages us to live authentically, actually visit the country, not just say you visit, but you want to visit the country. So when you leave that country, and in our case, Colombia, you felt like you had a true authentic experience when you were there. We took a boat trip. We went to see Escobar Summer House. We had a party in the water. We also did a city tour. I'm a person that loves pictures, so I hired a photographer and we had a beautiful photo shoot in the old city. So I created a lot of unique experiences for the women on that trip. And the feedback, I'm an educator in my professional life. So I did actually a survey to ask them for the feedback, and it was absolutely phenomenal. So I am very thankful for them trusting me to create an ultimate experience with Traveling Trotty.
I mean, anybody else just got sold on Colombia?
Colombia
You
has 12 million black people. I don't think a lot of people realize that. There's a
yeah.
lot of influential black experiences in Colombia. And when I was there, Jamel, I actually hired a black company. And I tend to also engage in women entrepreneurs in the countries to make sure it's women supporting women.
Indeed. No, no, I appreciate that. Really good information. And to be clear, what I said earlier about the world has opened up, right?
Yeah,
We don't travel like we once did. Colombia was not a place 20 years ago people would just go, you know.
true.
Um, and this is important to remember. So it's a whole different world with amazing opportunities beyond the 21 square miles most of the people tune into this listen to.
Yeah.
Live within, sorry. Um, there are a lot of people who want to travel. And folks, keep your comments and questions coming. We'll get through them. But there are a lot of people who want to travel. You just mentioned that, the first thing is budget, right? Um,
Yes.
and it's not always budget why people can't travel. I mean, myself just now, I traveled back. from Kenya via Amsterdam, and the longest flight I took was from New York to South Africa,
Mm.
16, 17 hours. And back then, I was drinking, so I just drank, pass out, and it was easy, being honest. I was restless on that long flight. I was like, are we not?
Oh,
And every time I'm looking, it's like, still got 3 hours, still got 2 hours. Like, it was just so long, 9 hour flight coming back from Amsterdam to Atlanta. And there are people who just, for whatever reason, they want to go places,
mhm.
but the idea of travel is just, it's so much. What would you say to people who are like, maybe deal with travel anxiety, or are there close destinations to Bermuda that you would consider where you could get a full experience, and so on?
Oh, most definitely. I think that every city, even if you're looking at going to America, to the USA, there are a lot of unique experiences that you can create and discover in every single city. Most of us don't think about going to Utah or going to New Mexico that have awesome experiences. I mean, I just got back 2 weeks ago from Arizona. I mean, looking at the Grand Canyon, looking at the spas there are absolutely fabulous. So it doesn't always have to be far. It really depends on what type of experience are you trying to engage in. What are you looking for? Are you looking for a relaxation experience? Are you looking for adventure? Is it family orientated? Is it a girls trip? Is it a couples trip? Is it a bay trip? So depending on what your desire is will help you to determine what is the location that meets my objectives of what I'm trying to achieve on that particular experience that you are going to. Now, what I encourage people to do, just like you put money aside for financial, for pension, well, you have a travel fund. You want to set aside some money every single month in a travel fund so that you are building that up. So whether you know that you can travel every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, you're working towards that goal. And I just saw your HSBC commercial and I actually smiled because I have a HSBC Bermuda card. And every single purchase that I make, I do it on my HSBC card because I know those rewards are going to help me in my travel experiences, help to reduce that cost. So I'm using my everyday expenses to help to offset the cost of travel. So that's what I encourage people to do. Now, for me, I can get on a plane and go directly to sleep. So I went to Arizona for a friend, I'm not a friend, a family member's birthday. And it happened, just happened, Jamel and the audience, that Usher was there. So on my last night, I went to the Usher concert, and from the Usher concert, I went directly to the airport. So team carry on is the best way to go when you want to have those quick trips and experiences.
I want to echo what you said. I as much as I may complain about the BTA as an organization, when I was working there, I had to travel a lot, and it really opened my eyes, and it helped me understand, how challenged the industry is. And a lot of people think that people in the BTA are just doing a horrible job of marketing. No, the whole conversation is the challenge that we're up against. The world has opened up. There are little towns in the middle of Iowa that are
Mhm.
fighting for tourism dollars, that have experiences that you're like, wow, who knew this was here? Lagoons just as beautiful as the Crystal Caves, right? Um, there are places in the Caribbean, in Mexico, and Central and South America where we wouldn't have went before, that have so many things to offer. So thank you for that. I guess, and I'll share why I asked this question. What do you hope people take away from the experiences that you share on social media from your travels? Because I'll be honest with you, I remember seeing when you went to Kenya, and you actually told me, I'm gonna share this publicly. She said to me before I went to Kenya, pack your patience, because she knows me very well. I don't have that. She said to me, pack your patience, because you go on that safari, you're not gonna say, and I don't have patience, folks. You know me. That's why I was up and down, walking up and down on that flight. Like, are we there yet? Right. But in saying that, you looking at what you shared, even the World Cup, I was like, man, I should have tried to jump on that. You've made me feel like I should have tried that. I should have did this. I should have did that. Well, what do you hope people take away outside of hoping they could have went on that exact trip?
I think for me is about inspiring people to step outside your comfort zone, to be open to experiences that you may not be able to get in your home country, whether that's Bermuda, whether that's Kenya, or whether that's America. Being able to be willing to try something new. So when I visit a country, I'm going to do everything possible that I can because I'm not sure when I will have the opportunity again to visit it. So in my travels, I'm trying to expose people to experiences, but also we are so much alike across the world than we are different. So there are
Mm,
certain things. So in Colombia, when we went to a lady's house for cooking demo, what I tried to do, as I said earlier, was to have that authentic experience. And she had something very similar to what we have, which were cassava cakes.
mhm,
She also had their what was it, coconut cakes she had as well, very similar. So what I'm finding throughout my travels that we have so many things that are alike. So my point is to inspire people. Don't be afraid,
mm,
embrace it. Sometimes I'm scared. I'm like, oh, do I really want to jump out of that plane? But I earn up to it and I say yes, because if not now, when? And I also think I'm an educator. So I also think that allows us to build connections with people. No
mm,
matter where I go in the world, I love talking to the locals. I love interacting with them because you learn so much more about the country.
mm.
And that's even for us here in Bermuda. I think there's a lot that our tourism product can benefit from by looking at our sister organizations and our sister countries that we can implement here in Bermuda to improve our tourism product overall.
I like that you said that because I was actually going to say that in my closing remarks that I think one of the greatest things I've experienced from travel is the things we can learn as a country and a destination. Let's go to the questions. We've got quite a few people. Dexter Smith said, enjoyed Colombia in March, outstanding
Mm,
walking city tour.
yes.
But Monica Casey has a question. Where do you find your deals?
I find deals on a variety. I'm on a lot of mailing lists. If I'm on my phone, most times I'm looking at various travel deals. There are like peak times in the year that you want to start planning your trips. One is Travel Tuesday, which is always the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Another one, if you're planning trips, you want to start at least 90 days in advance. If you're trying to use award travel, you're looking at least 11 months in advance. I'm
Mhm.
going to a wedding in April in Miami, and I was able to get an award ticket for $16,000. I mean, 16,000 miles. That's nothing when you look at travel, because traditionally travel to the US is about 30,000. So I got it for halfway. And I think the time of year that you want to travel. So if you're looking at travel and you're looking at some of the hot destinations in the world, you want to try to embrace those destinations during the shoulder season. So right before or right after peak season is some of the best time to travel. So the calendar year also has a big impact on when you should travel and find those deals.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you for that. Here's one. You've probably heard me say this more than once that my only interest in travel is to destinations, Black Africa. But Manuel
Mm.
John's asking, I recently saw an article indicating countries that are not hospitable to Black people. Do you pay attention to such?
Um, I've had some rough experiences in maybe one or two countries, but generally they have been very open. When I first went to India, we were at this palace, and I guess a lot of them had never seen Black people. I felt like a celebrity. Everybody wanted to take a picture and touch you and touch your hair and all of those aspects. So for myself, generally, I believe the universe is going to take care of me. So I have not had many bad experiences when it comes to the color of my skin and travel.
Mhm.
I've had a lot of positive experiences, and that does not deter me from a particular location. It
Mhm.
makes me more aware, but it doesn't deter me from venturing out to various countries. Not at all.
Indeed, indeed. Well, we've got Sherilyn Johnson. She says, "Sorry, I missed that Colombia trip. You know, she missed the trip to Colombia." And well, then Tina Duke just threw it in her face. The trip to Colombia was epic. So, yeah, you missed out according to everybody. Karen Edward Simmons. She's asking, "Can you advise how to make travel more expedient through airports?"
Well, that's a great question, Karen. Thank you for that. When you're looking at travel, I would say I have both passports. I have a Bermuda passport and I also have my UK passport. There are some advantages that come with the UK passport. One is global entry. If you do not have global entry, that is one way that you can definitely expedite coming through the airport. Now, for those of you who have a UK passport but do not have UK entry, I mean global entry, there is something that the US government has just implemented if you're coming through one of the major ports in the US, and that is MPC. Mobile passport control. You can only use it with a UK passport, and that also helps to expedite you coming into the US at least. When you're going through other destinations, like when I went to Jordan, I actually paid for concierge service. There are some destinations that offer concierge services. And for me, I also did it in Egypt, where the person meets me when I'm exiting the plane. They take my passport, they expedite me through immigration and customs, collect my bags, and I'm out of the airport in most times in 15 minutes. So sometimes you have to pay to have that advantage of getting out of the airport a lot quicker.
Indeed. Thank you for that. Yes, Shikarina was asking, would you
Yeah.
recommend obtaining global access? I mean, I guess MCP global entry, but there's a new thing, I guess, called digital ID or something. I don't know what that is. I don't know how I got signed up. But when I say I float through airports, the only thing that keeps me at an airport long is waiting on my luggage. Like, that's the only thing. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's beneficial. Those are the kind of things for a person like me who lacks patience. Convenience is important. We've got another question here. Charles H. Jeffs II, he's asking, what travel mistakes have you made that you think will be helpful to those who aspire to travel to far off places?
I think one of those travel mistakes that I've made early in my career, travel career, I guess you can call it, is not doing sufficient research on the destination. So very, very early, me and my one of my good friends that I travel with, we went to a particular country, and I didn't realize that the country was Muslim. And I had on some shorts, and I got some strange looks. Why am I wearing shorts? So it made me very conscientious. So now what I do is that I make sure and I research the customs, the culture, so that I'm being respectful because I understand I am a guest in that country. And in order for me to fully experience the country, I need to be respectful of their culture and their customs. So I would say make sure you're researching your destination to make sure that your personal agendas, your personal goals and travel experiences aligns with what that country offers you as a tourist.
Indeed. Charles got another question. Charles H. Jeffs II, he's asking, you mentioned rewards travel. Are you loyal to an airline and or hotels to get,
Oh, most definitely, Charles. Most definitely. I'm American Airlines team. I enjoy the experience on American Airlines. And I also do hotels. Now, when it comes to hotels, I'm a bit more open because I realize that when you get from this side of the world, that there are not the same chains. So when I go to a Kenya, or when I'm in a Qatar, or when I'm in other parts of the world, those chain opportunities are not necessary. So you're not going to get a lot of those American chains. So I'm more flexible on the hotel side than I am on the travel side. I do try to stick to American Airlines and their partner One World Alliance groups because in the long run it benefits you. So now when I travel, because I'm platinum, I get free upgrades, I get free luggage check-in. And another tip that I would give people is if you do not or cannot afford, say, a pass to the lounge, you have priority pass, which gives you the option of going into lounges all over the world. And then also you have minute suites. So as I just explained, when I came from Usher, I came right from the concert, jumped on the plane. I was in Charlotte. I needed a bath. I needed to freshen up. I went to minute suites, which I have a membership for, and I was able to shower, take an hour, relax, and then get on my plane to come home to Bermuda. So those are some of the advantages that help your travel experience, especially if you have long layovers. You want to get in those airport lounges because it's food, it's drinks, and it saves you a hell of a lot of money.
Indeed, indeed. One last question from the audience. Mark Arthur T. Phillips asking, what countries have you not traveled to and what countries are on your travel list?
Countries on my travel list for 2025 so far are Iceland in February and 2 weeks in Italy, which I'm trying to do carry on only because of what I'm trying to create during that experience. I have not been to South Africa. I've been to East, I've been to West, I've been North, but I have not been South. So South is high on my list. I also want to go down to Australia so I can take that lovely cruise in Antarctica. That is very, very high on my list. But I realize that's something that I have to budget for because the cruise alone is $10,000. So that, yeah, is an expensive destination. So that's something when I talk about putting money aside for certain trips, you have to plan that out because it's quite pricey in regards to that. Some of the other destinations that I would really love to go to, I love to go to China. I would love to see the Great Wall of China. I am working on my seven wonders as I travel as well. So I've been to Egypt, I've been to Brazil. So I'm working on that as well. So I have multiple lists of things that I'm trying to experience during my travel adventures.
Alrighty. And I lied. One more. Charles asking, what is the app that you use to manage your destinations that you've been to or want to go to?
It's an app called Bin. Countries Bin, and in that app it breaks it down by country, it breaks it down by cities. You can either say you live there, you want to go there, or you've been there. So that's the app that I use for that. But when it comes to just traveling, I use TripIt. It allows me to condense and have all information about my trips in one location: hotels, airfare, even my seats, anything that I'm doing, that allows me to do that. And I want to encourage the audience that a lot of the airlines around the world, what they have is free layovers. So on my way to Bali in March, I went for my cousin's wedding. She decided to get married in Bali. I actually stopped in Turkey, and I was able to stop in Turkey for free. Now, with Turkish Airlines, which is a beautiful airlines, I was able to have a tour for free. So if you're in Turkey for 12 hours, or sorry, 11 hours and 59 minutes or less, you have a free tour. If you're there for more than 12 hours, and some airlines allows you to actually do a layover for up to 3 days for free, where they will give you a hotel. So all you're doing is paying for your tours and your experiences. So that is another way where you can experience different countries along your journey of wherever you're going or coming from. So that was definitely a blessing for me. I had been to Turkey before, but I was able to stop there again for free. It included lunch, ground transportation, a tour guide, everything. And it was a beautiful experience and a great way if you want to test out a city and you're not sure whether, oh, I know if I want to go there. It gives you a great way to get a little teaser, a little taster before venturing there for a full vacation.
Interesting. And I was going to ask this. Charles beat me to it. Bin. Can you spell it for us? Because the
accent. Yep, you spelled it right. Ben.
Oh, got you. All right. Before you head out, how can people get in touch with you if they're interested in jumping on any of the excursions with you?
In my bio on Instagram, there is a link to a Google form. You just click that Google form and I will put you on my mailing list for my future adventures. The Iceland trip is sold out because what I try to create on these trips is intimate trips. So the trips are not very large. They are more intimate, so it's quiet. So for my Iceland trip, it's actually only 7 women going. I have rented an Airbnb, so everyone has their own room. So that's I really tried to personalize my trips. But outside of that, yeah, you can just click the link or you can just DM me and I will get back to you. I've also helped people plan their trips. So they may not want to go on a Travel and Charlie adventure. They may want to do a vacation or a family vacation. I also help people to plan their individual vacations as well.
Vacations, folks, ladies. Plan that vacation for your boo. Thank you so much, Chica, for doing this, having this conversation. Hopefully, people are inspired by your experiences and the conversation this morning. Charles, important question here. Is this upcoming trip women only? Again, he put in capital.
Again. Oh, well, for Iceland, yes. Okay. For Iceland, yes.
Charles,
But Charles, hold on. I am thinking about doing a sports trip
Mm,
for men and women. That's
mm,
something I'm actually actively investigating now.
mm,
As you know, I went to Qatar, I went to the World Cup, and that was just like a beautiful experience.
mm.
I'm looking.
Charles, it's okay. We'll start a Traveling Trotty men's division. All right, Charles, we'll start a men's division. But thank you so much, folks. Follow at Traveling Trotty. Hit her up on Instagram. Click that bio. Find out more. Thank you for all that you've shared, and keep sharing those experiences. Hopefully, more people will be inspired to, as I often say, grow beyond their environment. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye. Thank you.
All right, Traveling Trotty folks, if you appreciated that conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share that conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We're going to take our final break. Don't forget, coming back, we're going to announce today's winner. Today's winner is going to be a $50 voucher. Yeah, another $50 voucher. I'll tell you where after this. 2 minutes, 41 seconds. Stick with us.